Hello students and viewers at home. Welcome to our online lesson of today. I'm Chukwuelue Helen, a former from St. Charles College, Onitsha of Government Department. Our topic for today's discussion will be on HUGH CLIFFORD Constitution of 1922. Specific objective. At the end of the lesson, the students will be able to 1. Describe the features of the Clifford Constitution of 1922. 2. Identify any 5 ways in which the Clifford Constitution was significant to Nigeria. 3. What were the major changes introduced in Nigeria by the Clifford Constitution of 1922? 4. State any 4 merits and 4 demerits of the Clifford Constitution of 1922. And lastly, write the above questions inside your classwork. Now, let us look at the main lesson. Sir HUGH CLIFFORD became the colonial governor in 1919. He declared that he had abolished the old Nigerian Council and introduced a new liberal constitution. He was determined to prepare the people for self-government as a result of the activities of the National Congress of British West Africa. He called it a liberal constitution because he wanted to respect the opinion and beliefs of the people, and again allow the people a lot of political and economic freedom. The main features of the Clifford Constitution of 1922, we have them as follows. 1. Secretary of State for the Colonies. He was a cabinet minister in Britain, and he is responsible for the colonial administration and also for the administration of British colonial office. He equally appoints colonial governors on behalf of the home government. Number 2, we have the governor as the Clifford representing the Queen of England. 3 was the membership. Membership comprised of 46 members, 27 of whom were official members, including the governor, while 19 of them were unofficial members. 4 were elected, 3 to represent Lagos area, and 1 to represent Calabar area. The remaining 6 were appointed by the governor to represent other areas where elections were not conducted. Then we have number 4, we have Executive Council. The Executive Council were all Europeans, dominated by Europeans, and no Nigerian was a member of the Executive Council. Then number 5, we have the new Legislative Council. The new Legislative Council introduced was for the colony of Lagos and Southern Protectorate. So the new Legislative Council legislated only for the colony of Lagos and Southern Protectorate, with the exclusion of the Northern Protectorate. Number 6 is proclamation. The Northern Protectorate was to be governed by proclamation from the governor, meaning that the governor has to instruct them from the colonial office in London as well as from Lagos. Number 7 is the elective principle. The Constitution introduced for the first time elective principle, where Nigerians were to elect representatives into the Legislative Council. And among other features of this constitution is political activities, which led to the formation of political party. Example, Nigerian National Democratic Party was the first political party to be established in Nigerian politics by Herbert Macaulay, who was regarded as the father of Nigerian nationalism. Then lastly was establishment of newspapers. Newspapers sprang up. The Constitution witnessed the birth of newspapers, journals, magazines, and pamphlets. And the Lagos Daily News was the first newspaper established by Herbert Macaulay. And this newspaper increased political activities. It was used as the mouth organ to criticize activities of British government and their struggle for national independence. And the activities of this daily newspaper won the party, the Nigerian National Democratic Party, all the seats allocated to Lagos in 1923 elections, in 1928, as well as 1933 elections in Nigeria. So, the understanding of the features of this Clifford Constitution of 1922 is very, very important in the understanding of other subsequent lessons, like the significance of the 1922 Clifford Constitution. The Constitution was very, very significant and remarkable based on the following points. 1. The Constitution introduced elective principle. Like I said, with that elective principle that was ever introduced in Nigeria, and this ushered in that Nigerians are to vote for their representatives into the Legislative Council. Secondly, it gave special impetus to political activities, which led to the formation of political parties. Number 3, the political parties brought political education, which sensitized the people on the need for independence and to resist foreign rule. Number 4, it served as the first constitution ever written in Nigeria and the first formal constitution. It is the first written constitution in Nigeria. Number 5, the constitution allowed more representation of Nigerians in Legislative Council than the previous Nigerian Council. Number 6, the constitution witnessed the birth of newspapers or the establishment of newspapers. Then lastly, it laid the foundation and started the process and prepared the Nigerians for self-government. Having understood the importance, the significance of this constitution made a lot of innovations. It made a lot of innovations and changes which are remarkable in Nigerian colonial government. So, the major changes as introduced by the Clifford Constitutions of 1922 are as follows. 1, it abolished the Nigerian Council and established a new Legislative Council for the colony of Lagos and Southern Protectorate with exclusion of the Northern Protectorate. Number 3, it established a new Executive Council, which were mainly for European officials. Number 4, it established the elective principle for the first time. Number 5, it paved the way for political activities in Lagos and Calabar, which eventually led to the formation of political parties. Number 6, newspapers were established to further increase political activities. The merits of the Clifford Constitution of 1922 are as follows. 1, the Constitution introduced elective principle, which for the first time allowed Nigerians to elect representatives into the Legislative Council. Number 2, it paved the way for the formation of political parties in Nigeria. 3rd, more Africans were allowed into the Legislative Council. Number 4, it was the first formal and first written constitution of Nigeria. 5, it increased political awareness through political education during political party campaigns. 6, it enhanced greater political participation by means of political party membership or being members of the political party. 7, it laid the foundation for Nigerian self-government. 8, it established a constitutional government in Nigeria as opposed to government by statutory instruments. When I say that it established a constitutional government, we mean that the pre-independent constitutions and these constitutions were regarded as constitutional government as opposed to the British government by delegations like statutory instruments that made orders through commissioners or departments. Number 9, the Constitution later generated political controversies, which helped to increase the spirit of nationalism in Nigeria. The demerits of the Clifford Constitution of 1922 are as follows. 1. The British still dominated the Legislative Council. Number 2. Majority of the members of the Legislative Council were nominated. And this is the greatest flaw of the Constitution, where the majority of the members were nominated. Number 3. The executive was made up of white officials to the exclusion of Nigerians. Number 4. The application of the elective principle was limited only to Lagos and Calabar. Number 5. The Constitution limited its legislation and jurisdiction only to the southern provinces. Number 6. The governor was vested with veto and reserved powers. Number 7. The franchise was tied only to income earners of £100 per annum and residential qualification of 12 months, having lived in that particular area for 12 months. Good. Having understood the lessons like the features, the significance, the innovations made by the Constitution, the merits and demerits, let us ask the following questions. 1. Describe the features of the Clifford Constitution of 1922. 2. Identify any 5 ways in which the Clifford Constitution was significant to Nigeria. Number 3. What were the major changes introduced by the Clifford Constitution of 1922? 4th, state any 4 merits and any 4 demerits of the Clifford Constitution of 1922. Then lastly, write above questions inside your classwork. Thank you very much for your listening. Then you can contact me with this number 070-68-216-417. Thank you very much. Remain blessed.